bad things happen to you, and you ask yourself, I feel like I'm paying for something I did to somebody. This must be what I did to mommy when I was little. No, it's that you're paying because you're acting like a spectator. So if you don't show up with your uniform on, and I don't know who you are, I'm going to make you pay to get inside, or I'm going to throw you out.
God.
Oh, God, Jesus.
Oh, God. Hallelujah.
The closer the spectator wants to get to the event, the more money he has to pay for his seat. The athlete, on the contrary, the better he plays, the more money he gets paid.
Jesus.
One has to pay from himself to get something better. The other one gets paid for doing the same thing. The other one gets paid even if he gets hurt. When you understand that you are an athlete, when you are on God's team, you get a guaranteed contract, baby. It is not a performance contract. His blood does. God does not sign performance contracts. Performance contracts is when you sign an athlete and you tell him, okay, if you strike out a certain amount of people, I'll give you $1 million. And if you steal certain bases, then you get these bonuses for the amount of money. Do you know who they do these contracts for? For two people. For people who are getting old and people who are not as good as they used to. But because you don't live, but God lives in you, there is nothing weak about you. So you will never get a promise. You will never get that kind of contract. You will get a guaranteed contract because it is not through your strength. It is through His strength, says the Lord. You see, those who know how to be an athlete know what I'm talking about. There was times that I was just a spectator and I would just keep paying for things, and this will go wrong and that will go wrong. But now that I have gotten to a place of understanding that I'm an athlete, sometimes I don't have the strength to do anything, and God is still blessing me. And I'm like, why is He still blessing me? I'm not doing anything. It's because He's telling me, you decided to be an athlete, so I gave you a guaranteed contract. So even when you're on the DL, I still pay you. Even when you're on IR, I still pay you. My God. Even when you can't get out on the field, I still pay you.
Oh, Jesus. God.
Hallelujah, Jesus.
My God.
Thank you, Lord.
A spectator. Why are you a spectator? Because when you are a spectator, the spectator, he lives a normal life before and after the event. You see, he goes to the stadium and he cheers on his best team, the team that he loves. But after the game is over, he'll be mad or happy for a couple of days. He might be depressed for those of us who love our teams. We might be depressed for a couple of days, a week, a month. But sooner or later, we'll have to get over it. And we go back to regular life. Even after you leave the stadium, you still have to go eat. You still have to put your kids to bed. You still have to go to work the next day. You still have to go to school the next day. And even if you have tickets for another game, it's just for those 2.5 hours that you are spectating. Why do I have to tell you this? Because the athlete is the opposite. The athlete, you see, the athlete is his life. His life. You see, before he goes up there, he has to go through preseason, and he goes and he practices and he exercises and he makes sure that he runs the correct routes and he practices his shot when nobody's looking. When the empty gym with one light on, he's shooting. Nobody knows what he's doing. Everybody sees him in the game when he's the MVP. But you don't understand that when you were sleeping, he was just shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting. Well, you have to understand the reason you're a spectator is because you don't take it home with you, baby. You leave it right here. And you're an athlete. When nobody's looking, you're praying. When nobody's looking, you're reading the word. When nobody's looking, you are an athlete. When you're an athlete, when the game is over, he goes into the locker room and he ices up and he does interviews. He has to do an interview if he does good and even if he does bad. The mic is still in his face. But after all that, he has to get on the bus. bus and go to the next city. He has to go to the bus and get to the next game. Let me explain something to you about being an athlete. You're going to fight many battles. You may not win them all. But the point of you understanding is this. When you lose a battle, when you lose a game, you go into that locker room, you look at the videotapes, and you find out what you did wrong. Because in 2 days, you have another game to play. And if you're the best athlete, you tell yourself, I am not going to make that same mistake twice. When I get there in 2 days, I know what I did wrong, and I ain't going to do it wrong again. When you are an athlete, you live your ministry, and you look at the mistakes, and you say, God, forgive me, but I ain't going to do that again. Devil, come again, because I got you this time. It's his life. It's his life.
My God.
I've got 2 more for you.
Keep on coming.
Third, the spectator can either cheer or criticize the team, but he does not have the power to control the result. The spectator can scream all he wants. He can get a front row seat and call the manager to come out the bullpen. He can sit behind the coach and scream at the head coach, that was the wrong play to call. You should have called such and such up. But guess what? No matter how hard he screams, no matter how hard he yells, what he wants it to be, it ain't going to be. You know why? Because he's just a spectator. He's just a spectator. And let me tell you something that just came to my mind. When you are a spectator, without you realizing, let me tell you something. Stop worrying. Stop worrying about the people that are talking about you. You know why? Because it is the spectators that pay your salary. It is your spectators that pay your salary. So I'm here to tell you that every time that somebody talks about you, you are blessed according to Jesus. Blessed are those who are persecuted, because there is the kingdom of heaven. Every time they talk about you, they pay your salary. They could talk bad about you. They could act like they're cool in front of your face, and they say something else behind your back. It don't matter, because every time they open your mouth, they give you another $1 million in the spirit. Every time they open their mouth, they give you another blessing in the spirit.
My God. We worship you, Lord.
You see, the spectator can only motivate and can only criticize what he doesn't like.
Oh, God.
And let me tell you why this is not good. This ain't good, because this is what happens with the spectator. Today, he tells them this guy should have shot the ball because the other one missed. Now in the next game, the guy they wanted to shoot, same situation, the guy shoots. The spectator now said, nah, they should have not let him shoot. They should have let him. But you told me yesterday in the same situation that guy should have shot. Now you're telling me today. Why? Because it didn't work. A spectator